we begin tonight with that massive federal sports gambling investigation that is now rocking the world of professional basketball just as the season begins. 3 current and former NBA players and a current coach are among the more than 30 people indicted in 2 probes involving 4 of the New York City mafia families. The players involved are Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups, and former Cleveland player Damon Jones. Police arrested them this morning. One scheme allegedly involves sports betting using insider NBA information. The other, underground rigged poker games across the country that the feds dubbed Operation Royal Flush. The FBI director says it all involved tens of millions of dollars in theft, fraud, and robbery. And prosecutors say these defendants have now been dealt their losing hand.
My message to the defendants who've been rounded up today is this: your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that.
The NBA announced today Rozier and Billups have been placed on immediate leave. In a statement today, the league said it is taking these allegations with utmost seriousness, and the integrity of the game remains its top priority. Now, integrity is what is at the heart of these allegations in insider trading, dubbed nothing but bet.
Players and associates allegedly used inside information to manipulate prop bets on major sports betting platforms. They placed wagers on unders on players to score less, rebound less, assist less, using information that was not yet public. In some instances, players altered their performance or took themselves out of games to make sure that those bets paid out.
Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier is tied to that case. In one example from March of 2023, when Rozier was playing with the Hornets, prosecutors say he told his co-defendants that he would leave a game early with a supposed injury. They then placed, those co-defendants, more than $200,000 worth of bets on his performance not being so hot that night. It's also believed that at least one fraudulent bet was placed involving LeBron James. Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups is accused of being part of an illegal poker ring. He is accused of playing in rigged games backed by the mafia. This cheating scheme allegedly relied on high-tech technology, including X-ray tables that could read the cards face down, and rigged shuffling machines that they used to count cards. They also allegedly used specially designed contact lenses and sunglasses to read the backs of playing cards. It's wild, these details. Let's get reaction now from our panel. Jeff Coby is a former player with the New York Knicks. Daniel Wallach is a gambling law expert known as the sports betting attorney. And Craig Carton is a sports radio host and recovering gambling addict. He's now an advocate for responsible gambling. Great to have all 3 of you here. All right, Jeff, I'm going to start with you. For our viewers who aren't, in the NBA, we are talking about prominent players here. Billups is a Hall of Famer. Rozier is a veteran. He's been in the NBA for 10 seasons. What's your reaction to all this?
It was, honestly, I was just in utter disbelief because, you work so hard to get to, the top of your craft and industry, and, just a simple, something so it's so hard for me to conceptualize because you don't have to do these things,
Right.
you've done the bulk of the work,
Yeah. Craig, you say this has been a long-time concern for the NBA, that players would do exactly this, try and fix the outcome of a game by giving inside information to people to place bets. What kind of inside information are we talking about?
Well, exactly what you said in the open, which is trading on information that the public doesn't yet have. Is the guy hurt? Is the guy not going to play in a game? Is the guy willing to even pull himself out of the game, which is what Rozier is accused of right now by the federal government. But, this has been a tempest in a teapot waiting to explode for a very long time, even before the NBA and the other leagues got into bed with gambling companies, because this is the easiest way for a guy to help a friend out, a buddy out that's maybe having financial difficulty. It's the only aspect of a basketball game that a player can guarantee the outcome of. It's betting under his stats for a particular game.
Right.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, the NBA asked me to come in and speak to all the rookies at this year's symposium just to give them a heads up of the potential dangers of gambling. It affects only about 2% of anyone that's ever going to gamble, but it strikes at the heart of what keeps commissioners awake late at night, which is singular, and that is people being able to attack the integrity of the outcome of a game. And now that the leagues have brought legalized gambling into their world by taking hundreds of millions of dollars from all the legal above board wagering sites, now that integrity is called into question more than ever.
Yeah.
You have millions of Americans now risking their mortgage payments on the outcome of games, and more specifically, the outcome of a single player's performance in a singular game. So if we're going to now question the outcome of those performances because of a situation like this, it's the biggest nightmare for professional sports.
Yeah, Adam Silver, the head of the NBA commissioner, probably has a massive headache tonight. Daniel, I'm going to get to you in a second, but Jeff, I'm just curious. Is this something other players would notice? Like, would anybody notice if suddenly somebody said, "I'm feeling a little sick today," or "Oh, I just pulled my Achilles tendon. I got to go. I got to leave the game suddenly in the middle of the game." Is this something fellow players and coaches would notice?
Well, at the professional level, you've worked so hard to get to where where you are. You kind of, there's a certain level of integrity and work that goes into that.
So you're
whole
just going to trust them.
So, and normally, like, you would just trust them, it's face value, because at the end of the day, basketball is a team sport. And if you're missing a crucial part of your team, you're hurting your chances of winning. And at the end of the day, like, the majority of people's goals is to win a championship and,
Right.
to continue winning.
All right. So Daniel, sports betting sites are on the lookout for this kind of fraud, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the supposed advantages of having a regulated, monitored sports betting framework. You have sports books that are engaging technology firms to detect wagering patterns, unusual and suspicious wagering activity. And I think the prop bets are at the heart of the problem, because
Explain what that is. What are prop bets?
what Craig was alluding to earlier, when a player is when there's a wager that's available on a player's individual performance within a game, whether he will exceed a certain statistical benchmark or not, and it could be rebounds, block shots, points, and players can impact. I mean, they are solely responsible for impacting and altering their own performance. But the reality of it is that market is not as voluminous as, let's say, betting on the outcome of the game or
Right.
betting on the Super Bowl. Nobody is alleging that games have been fixed. What this strikes at the heart of is how easy it is for players to manipulate their own performance. And in a regulated sports betting framework, that kind of activity easily gets detected, or should get detected, prior to PASPA, which was the federal law that prevented states from legalizing sports betting. All of this was in the darkness. You had no idea what was going on. Now there are detection systems, technology companies that are watching all this stuff. And if a player pulls himself out of a game and there is a significant amount of action on the under around that time period, red flags go off, and that is something that's detectable. And I think the players are stupid to think, any individual athlete is foolish to think that he will get away maybe once, but on repeat occasions,
Right.
that this is such an easy thing to detect because it is not tied to outcome of games. These companies can pinpoint the betting activity and match that with the decision
And by the
to
way,
pull himself out of a game. It's not hard to detect.
It's an important point Daniel's referencing, because what's not happening today, because of the news as it's breaking, and it's dramatic, right? The only reason this came to light to the federal government is because the NBA self-reported. So the protections are in place. As soon as these crazy wagers were made on specifically Terry Rozier's, singular performance in one random game, a game that he allegedly took himself out of with a fake injury, the NBA got a phone call from these bodies that protect them against this. They immediately go to the feds. We have a problem. So this is the results of self-reporting. If
Right.
the NBA and all the legalized online wagering sites didn't have these protections in place, then he would have gotten away with it. And the reality is that you also have to remember, most criminals are stupid. right? The notion that you're going to bet hundreds of thousands of dollars on the personal performance of Terry Rozier and no one's going to pay attention to that is just comical.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, Craig, you just said that you were lecturing the incoming rookie players in the NBA this year on the dangers of sports gambling. I'm curious, Jeff, did you get a briefing like that? What did your coaches or team leaders tell you about, sports betting and avoiding it?
For sure. And because I went to Columbia from 2013 to 2017, so we weren't allowed to accept money, dinners, anything like that, anything that was in violation with the NCAA rules. So whenever, people have to be extremely mindful when they're especially athletes, when they're having conversations with people, because it could be something so simple as, so how do you think you're going to perform tonight? And that
not so great. I got a bum knee today, or
exactly. And you could say something that in the future can incriminate you. So just honestly being mindful of your surroundings, and also just adopting that growth mindset of just learning and actually absorbing the information. And at the professional level, it's like, in my mind, it's like, you worked so hard to get here. Why would you jeopardize that for a quick buck? It's just not worth it, in my opinion.
Of course it's not. It's also illegal and hurts the game and the league and the integrity of a sport that millions and millions of people worldwide love and watch. But Craig, answer that question. As a reformed gambling addict yourself, why do some of these players who were indicted today, earned tens of millions, if not more than $100 million?
Yeah.
Why are they gambling? Why are they involved in this?
It's a great question. What most of the public is saying is just that, hey, Chauncey Billups, which is a different case because it revolved around fixing the outcome of games or stats. That's a poker thing that was allegedly rigged, which is kind of a separate situation than what Terry Rozier and Javante Porter before him and Malik Beasley before him have been accused of doing. There's two sets of guys here. They may have gambling problems themselves. And as a guy who had a gambling problem, I can tell you, you throw all rationality into the wind and you don't process things correctly or even legally. And you start making bad decisions because you're worried about where the next dollar comes from or who I owe money to or how am I going to bet next. The other person involved in this may not have a gambling problem at all. And the thing that we lose sight of are the pledges and promises a lot of guys that play professional sports have made to the kids they grew up with. So play this out for a second. You're a friend of Terry Rozier's, right? And you're on hard times. He's wealthy. He was going to make $26 million this year. So you go to him, hey, man, I'm in trouble. I can't pay my mortgage. I'm having a kid. I got fired. Whatever the case may be, you put that athlete in a precarious situation. A lot of guys don't want to write a check. I'm not giving you my money, but here's what I can do for you. Next Wednesday, if you bet the under in my personal performance, I guarantee you that you'll win and you can put whatever money you need in your back pocket, but the money's not coming from me. Okay. I know people can't relate to that. That is real. That happens. And the other thing I'd caution your audience about is this. Right now, today, there are active players in all four major North American sports that are actively gambling on their own sport every single day of the week.
That is disturbing and sobering. All right, we're out of time, but Daniel, super quick, what kinds of time, if these men are convicted, do they face?
Well, first of all, these are just allegations in an indictment.
Absolutely, innocent until proven guilty.
They're entitled to due process, a jury trial, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and I don't want us to already assume.
No, we haven't. We've just established that. But what were the penalties?
You're talking about federal felonies. You're talking about serious time. 10 years or more. I mean, I don't know the baseline for these particular criminal offenses, but when you're in the federal system and you're prosecuted, these are not de minimis criminal punishments. They carry severe incarceration terms.
Wow. All right, Jeff Coby, Daniel Wallach, Craig Carton, thank you all three so much. I really appreciate all of your unique perspectives.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.